Hello everyone, welcome to this week's video. So I'm back with another book recommendations video slash this is my very first, no it's not my very first, this is my very second TBR video because I made a 2023 like overall yearly TBR. My dog is coming over by me. TBR for the year. Come on, come on. Oh, come on. Yeah, okay. TBR video for the year. He's very clingy, so I'm very sorry if he's annoying. So I thought I'd come back with a little summer TBR because I know a lot of booktubers do like monthly TBRs, but I know I would never stick to that. Plus I read maybe like 5 books a month is like really good, so it's more like 2 or 3 books a month for me, so those videos wouldn't be very exciting for me to make. So I'm just gonna make a summer TBR now, and then but first, before I get into that, I'm gonna give you guys some good summer book recommendations, just books that kind of like either obviously are about in the summer or like remind me of summer or give me like that nice summer feeling. I have to sneeze. Oh my god. I always think that I read a lot of books until I go to make these book recommendations videos, and then I'm like, I read like all the same type of books. So I'm really hoping this summer I can branch out. There's been some more fantasy books I want to read and more like thrillers. I've been getting into thrillers recently, so leave any recommendations you have for me down below. So let's get started. So I'm gonna start with the classic The Summer I Turned Pretty series. I actually read this in like January and February, which is kind of funny to me because it's like it's a summer series. But Summer I Turned Pretty, you've probably heard about that, or if you haven't, this is your sign to read it. It's a trilogy, obviously, and they actually made it into a TV show. The first season came out last year, and then the next season is coming out I think in June or July, maybe June. I'm very excited. But yeah, if you don't know what it's about, the first book at least is, well, okay, it's obviously all the same, but it's about this girl named Belly, and it's like obviously the summer that, you know, she had her big glow up, and her mom and brother all go to her mom's friend's beach house every summer, and then her mom's friend has 2 boys, so it's like kind of a love triangle type thing, and just kind of following through that summer. I didn't love the last book as much as the rest. It just felt very different, and Belly felt very like out of character to me. I don't know why. It just felt a little weird, but I still really recommend. I binged these like so fast. I think I read them all within like 2 weeks, which for me is fast. They are YA, and it's like big writing, and none of them are over 300 pages, I don't think. So just again, very quick reads. I think I read this one in like 2 days. So anyways, moving on. I have one of my very favorite authors, which is Taylor Jenkins Reid. Honestly, I'd recommend any of her books to read in the summer, but these 2 specifically. Carrie Soto is back. I just read this a few months ago, and I absolutely love it. It is about a tennis player, but it's not just like about tennis. It's like about, I don't know, I really loved the way it was wrapped up in like the messaging of the book. I don't want to give anything away, but this tennis player basically comes out of retirement because this other tennis player like beat her record, and so she's like trying to prove that she is the best and like beat that record again, and you know, whatever. So it's about her like training, and I just love the way it's like it's about tennis, and you kind of do learn like the rules of tennis in this book, but it's not like you don't have to know or be interested in tennis to read this book, in my opinion. How many times can I say tennis? But I don't know, it made me like want to play tennis too, so I'm like, I don't know, read that. And it doesn't like only take place in the summer, it takes place over like a year. But it's, I don't know, it gave me like summery vibes and just like playing sports outside, I don't know. And then we have Malibu Rising, which is a very summery. It actually takes place over the course of like a day, not even like 24 hours, I don't think. But it does go like back in time. It's a time, there's a word for that, I don't remember, but you know, it goes like flashes back and then present day, whatever. Nina Riva is throwing a party, and they live in Malibu, and like I said, it goes back and forth kind of telling their life story, and this big thing happens at the end. It's a classic Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I feel like not a lot of people rave about this, but I really enjoyed it. It took me a second to get through, but you know, at some points it kind of is a little slow, but towards the end it gets really good. And set in Malibu, all the summer vibes, surfing. She's a surfer, and so they talk about that a lot, and it's very good. Next is the classic summer book recommendation author, which would be Emily Henry, because I can't make a summer book video without putting her books in the video. We're not going to talk about how I have 2 hardcover and 2 paperbacks. I don't want to think about that. I really wish they were all paperback, but obviously the classic, like, you need to read this book if you haven't, Beach Read. it's exactly what it says. It's a beach read. I would love to read this on a beach. I didn't read it on a beach. I read it like in my house 2 summers ago, I think. So good. It's about 2 authors and they end up living next door to each other and they have this like competition going. I don't know. I don't want to like dwell and like give away too much of these books, but they go on like these adventures. Takes place in like over a month-ish, I think. Then her next book is People We Meet on Vacation, which I feel like this is kind of everybody's like least favorite of hers. And I don't want to say that, but I got to agree with that just simply because these are better. Like simply, it's not a bad book by any means. It's just that she has better books. It's about these 2 friends who for summer for a decade, they've taken a week of vacation together. I can't lie, I don't remember much. But anyways, that's People Who Meet on Vacation. I didn't do a very good job at explaining it, but you kind of get the gist. Like they went on vacation together. Did I say they don't talk anymore? Because they don't. And then this thing happens and they're together again. Anyways, next we have Book Lovers, which is her book that came out last year. I read it so fast. It's so good. It's about 2 people who work in the book publishing industry and they end up meeting in this small town, even though they're both from New York. So it's like this big coincidence. They're kind of enemies-ish. Yeah, Nora and Charlie, and they just keep running into each other in this small town and things happen from there. You can guess what happens. And then we get to her newest book, Happy Place, which is one of my all-time favorites by her. If you haven't already, go check out my reading vlog I did for this where you can see all my reactions to it. I just love her covers too. Like they're so aesthetic. Like these 2 together especially. So good. It's about a friend group and they go on vacation every year for a week at this cottage, but this time after they leave, the cottage is going up for sale, which isn't a spoiler because it's written on there. But so this whole thing, but also 2 of the friends were engaged and now they broke up, but the other friends don't know. So it's a whole thing, like fake dating stuff with that, and obviously it's set at a summer cottage, so very summery vibes. Love that so much. Moving on, this next one is kind of a little random because I've never seen anybody talk about this book. It's called Cool for the Summer by Dahlia Adler. It's a YA book. It's very short. I can't lie, I don't remember much of what it's about. So this girl goes with her mom to the Outer Banks. So if you watch Outer Banks on Netflix, there's this guy she's had a crush on, but then there's also this one girl who's there. She meets this girl there in the summer, but then the girl ends up being back at school when she goes back. It's this whole thing. I really am so bad at like explaining what books are about, especially if I haven't read them recently. So like there's like summer parties and sneaking out going to parties and like bonfires and stuff. And it's kind of a love triangle-ish, but I just know this gave me all the summer vibes when I read it, so that's why I am recommending it to you now. The next book I'm recommending was Big on Book Talk, again, I think in like 2020, which is I think when I read this. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. It's another very summery book. It's set on this private island, yeah, where I think they're friends and family come every year, so another like, you know, classic vacation. Every year they come. There's also a map of the island in the front, which I love, and I love like visualizing like where things are. I love when books have maps like this. Go through their daily life on this island in the summer, but then at the end there's this huge twist that, you know, throughout the book it's kind of hinted that like something happened, that this is like no longer their reality. At the end you find out what it is, and it's insane. I didn't guess it. I think my mom read this book and she didn't guess it, and it's just such a huge reveal, and you just like are questioning everything you just read, because it's like almost like an unreliable narrator, but not really, because it's not. I can't say anything else or it'll spoil it. If you haven't read this, definitely give it a read because it's definitely worth it. The next one is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This one is set in New York, and I can't remember if it actually takes place in the summer, or just because I read it in the summer I like equate that with it being set in the summer. So this girl ends up seeing this other girl on the subway, and it's like they always end up on the same train, and she's like, how are we always on the same train? And then they start talking and they figure out that this other girl is actually from like the 70s or something, and she's not actually, and she can't leave the train because she like she's like displaced in time from the 1970s. So then the rest of the book is like figuring out how to get her back. There's a little romance. I just love that it's like set in a New York subway, and it's just like a very interesting concept, I feel like, to me, because it's like, what do you mean you can't like leave the subway? Like you can't get off the train. So they like find a way to work around that with like their romance and stuff too. So it's very interesting and definitely cute. It's a little bit thicker, so maybe not like a fast read, but it's definitely like bingeable to read in the summer. And then my last recommendations are classic Allie Hazelwood books. Hers are just, like I said, not even like they're set in the summer. They're just so fast to sit down and just binge read because they're just like fast. I would say kind of cheesy. Romances. This one's fake dating. This one is enemies to lovers. The other thing with this one is it's a lot of miscommunication, and I didn't love that. I kind of hated the main girl character a lot because it's like, you just let the man speak to you and you'll understand that he doesn't actually hate you. Anyways, and they are like scientists. All of Allie Hazelwood's books are about like scientists, women in STEM, so love that representation. And she actually has a new book coming out, which I will talk about in my TBR portion of this video. Yeah, they're just quick, fast reads. They're not like the most like powerful, gripping, like amazing books, but I don't know, if you just are looking for like a fast, cheesy, cute little romance to read, I just hit myself in the face. On your summer vacation, definitely pick up one of her books if you haven't. And she does have a few novellas too I read them. They were okay. They weren't like the best. I feel like her writing like shines through better in a full story like this. So those are my summer recommendations. So now I'm gonna get into my summer TBR and books that I will be reading, hopefully be reading this summer, and then maybe at the end of the summer I'll make a video of like, did I read these books or not? So let's get into that part of the video. So because these are my to be read books for the summer, I actually don't have any of them besides one that I'll show you. But I'm gonna be taking a trip to Barnes & Noble soon and vlogging it very soon, so very excited about that. Keep an eye out for that. But the one that I can't actually show you in person is A Court of Thorns and Roses, or Akotar. I really just want to read the series this summer because I'll just have time to like dedicate to just getting through the series. If I enjoy the first one, if I don't like the first one, then I won't read the rest. But I don't know, and I feel like there's kind of some controversy around the series and the author, which I'm not 100% like clear on. But I don't know, a lot of people do really rave about the series. I'm like, I just want to see what it's about. I haven't really read fantasy before. I've read like Hunger Games and Divergent, but that's more like sci-fi stuff, so I've never read like an actual like really good like fantasy book. So this summer I definitely want to get into fantasy and stuff like that, and something just different than, you know, basic average cookie cutter romances, which so I also have more to recommend to you guys. The first book I have written down is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, and a lot of people say that it's just like Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, which I also haven't read. We'll get to that in a second. But it just sounds, I can't even lie, I don't even know what it's exactly about. I've just seen so many people recommend it that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read that. And then also she just put out a new one called Meet Me by the Lake, which I have on this list, but I wrote it before it came out. And every review I've seen of Meet Me at the lake, yeah, I always want to say by the lake, Meet Me at the Lake, has been like bad. Like people aren't really liking the book that much. So I'm like, I don't know if I should read it or not. I don't know. I'll see. I'll read Every Summer After, and if I really like her writing, then I'll give the Lake one a shot. But I don't know. Now I'm like nervous to read it because I'm like, I don't want to waste money buying it and then waste time reading it. Next on the list is Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood, and it just kind of sounds like a mixture of those two books, honestly. So I'm interested to see how similar it is, because I feel like these two books, there are a few similarities that I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So we'll see. I'm not bashing it yet, but we'll see. Then next on the list I have the book Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, because I've seen a lot of people. I've seen one person on here rave about it, and that is Sarah Caroli. I love her videos and she loves the Magnolia Parks books, and it just sounds very interesting to me. She describes it as like Gossip Girl but set in London, and I think there's 4 books in it right now. But next on the list, like I said earlier, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, because that is like a classic book talk book that everyone has read and I just haven't. Very excited about that. Next is the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher, because the 3rd and final book just came out this year, so I'm like, okay, perfect, I can read the whole series now. I forget what the very first one in it is, but I will be purchasing that when I go to Barnes & Noble next time. It's just about these like rich brothers who their grandfather dies, something with like Disneyland, but it's not called Disneyland, it's called Dreamland, which is Dreamland Billionaires. I don't know, we'll see. That's what I've collected from the information I've seen. Next we have Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. That one is just another one that I've seen recommended everywhere, and I just really want to read a Lucy Score book and see what the hype is about and see if I like her writing or not. Yeah, just another one I'm gonna pick up. Again, I don't know exactly what it's about because there's just so many like books that I'm like, I don't remember what every single one is about. But I think it's set in like a small town and something like that. Then we have the Chestnut Springs series, which I forgot to look up who the author of that was. Everyone's been raving about it. It's like about cowboys. One of them is about like cowboys or something in like small town. One's like a hockey player, another like brothers series, I believe. Everyone's just been loving it, so I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try because it seems like summery too. Last book I have on the list is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and I've been wanting to read Abby Jimenez because I feel like a lot of people have been loving her recently, and I think Yours Truly like just came out like last month or something, and I've seen a lot of people talk about it recently, and apparently there's like really good like anxiety representation in it. So like one of the main characters has anxiety and it is like actually represented correctly in a book, and it seems like it would be just a good fast little summary read. Oh, also the book Serpent and the Wings in the Night. I don't know, it's a fantasy book and everyone's been reading it recently, so I'm like, okay, might as well read it and see what it's about. Except it is like a really thick book, so I'm kind of scared, but maybe I'll love it. I don't know. I just really want to get more into fantasy and like more thrillers. I don't know, like there's so many books I could list off right now, but the list I told you was like my solid, like I must read this summer, and then whatever else I have time for I will read. So yeah, those are all my recommendations and the books that I plan on reading this summer. I'm planning on starting a book Instagram this summer too. Hopefully it'll be up by the time this video is up actually, so I'll link it down below if it's up. So yeah, go check that out if I have that link down below. If not, check back next video for a link for that. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time for another video. Bye!